What is up, everyone? In today's video, we're going to create this kind of Starbucks animation. So let's go. We're going to start off by creating a new composition. After that, we're going to import three Starbucks cups, which I generated with ChatGPT. Let me create a new solid. Let me rename it specifically to background. I'm going to use the tint effect in order to change its color to this kind of green, this kind of emerald dark green, okay? After that, I'm going to use the ellipse tool in order to create this kind of ellipse, which is going to be like a much brighter version of green, much more vibrant, okay? After that, let me just disable the stroke right here because that does not look good. I'm going to right click the shape layer. I'm going to go to layers, tiles, and bevel and emboss. Here, I'm just going to increase the softness, the size, and just copy those settings right here. The size is most important, I think. And from here, we're just going to move on to duplicating those circles right here and adding fast box blur to each and every one of them, but playing around with the amount depending on how far away we want them to be in order to create this kind of 3D depth effect, okay? After that, I'm just going to create this kind of rectangular shape in the center of the screen. Let me center it for sure. Okay, now once I've increased the roundness, we're going to select this to make it a shy layer. I'm going to apply fast box blur, plus I'm going to play around with the brightness and contrast, okay? So I'm just going to set the blur radius to 20, maybe like 10 iterations, and let's just increase the brightness to something around 25. Let me duplicate this layer, and I'm just going to disable the fill, and I'm going to set up a stroke, and let's change the stroke amount to something around 9 pixels, okay? Let me remove the brightest contrast and the fast box blur right here. And on that layer, I'm just going to set the stroke to something around 3, and I'm going to change the opacity to something like 20%. Okay. Once the opacity is set up, let me just pre-compose both of these showcase layers. And this is just going to be the glass showcase, just so that we know this is like the main part of the composition. Okay. Now I'm just going to import the Starbucks cups one by one. Let's start off with this one. And we need to adjust the scale. So let's name it basic coffee, just so that we know which one it is. And let's create this kind of scale up animation, but you can also use this kind of script called bouncer, and you can make that selected object bounce really smoothly, okay? And let me create a keyframe for position right here. Let me move out the Starbucks cup to the left. This is happening around the 20th frame of the composition. And let me just play around with the speed graph. You can create some sort of this kind of shape in order to create a nice smooth movement to the left, okay? After that, I'm just going to create another rectangular shape, and I'm just going to name it mask. And this is basically going to function as a mask for the mug so that they can sort of only be visible in that particular area. And I'm just going to increase the feather. By the way, guys, if you want to receive access to this project file we're working on today, make sure to check out the pinned comment down below. There you will find the link to my newsletter. After confirming the incentive email, you're going to receive access to loads of different project files we've been working on so far. Okay, now I'm just going to import the second cup. Let's make it a little bit smaller, adjust it in scale and position, make it centered. Now I'm just going to rename it to standard cup so that we know which one we're working with. And I'm going to create that position keyframe again. I'm going to move it out to the right this time. So this is going to be like a follow-up animation. Let me use the bouncer script once again in order to make it super smooth. Okay, now let me make it dependent on the mask that we did the same thing with the previous cup. Nice. Now let me move out a few frames forward, and we need to make this cup hide, so move it out to the left. Okay, we can make those keyframes smoother again with the speed graph. That's great. And now we're going to have to import the third cup. Okay, so let me just take the third cup right here, import it, and I'm just going to rename it to premium. So let's like rescale it again. This looks really similar in scale. And what we're going to do now is we're basically going to copy the keyframes we had previously above. And we're just going to, again, use the bouncer script in order to make it super smooth. So just play this back. Take a look. Nice. Basically copy the scale parameters. I'm just going to rotate the cups by like 25 degrees. And that's going to create like a nice tilted effect. Okay, now I'm going to create another solid, and I'm going to use the 4-color gradient in order to create a more sort of cinematic background. It's going to have a little bit more white in the center, which is going to make it way more cinematic. And I'm just going to pre-compose everything we've created up until this point. Okay, now with the final render thing, let's go to scripts and cinematic composition. Now I'm just going to remove that black overlay thing and just copy the exact settings. 12 in the noise and vignette. Let's set the amount of noise to 2% and the amount to 195. Okay. And then here, let's just remove that effect. And in the Venetian blinds, let's set it to just 11%. Okay. We're also going to adjust the glow slightly. So let's just bring this down to 55 and then 122. And then finally, if we play this back, bam. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Make sure to check out this video if it seems interesting to you. And I hope to see you in the next one.